Tropical Cyclone Eloise was the strongest tropical cyclone to impact the country of Mozambique since Cyclone Kenneth in 2019, and the second in a row of 3 consecutive tropical cyclones to impact Mozambique in the 2020-21 Southwest Indian Ocean cyclone season. The 7th tropical depression, 5th named storm, and the 2nd tropical cyclone of the season. Eloise's origins can be traced to a disturbance over the central portion of the Southwest Indian Ocean basin, which developed into a tropical depression on the 16th of January and strengthened into a tropical storm on the 17th of January, though the storm had limited strength and organization. On the next day, the storm entered a more favorable environment, and it soon intensified to a severe tropical storm on the 18th of January. Late on the 19th of January, Eloise made landfall in northern Madagascar as a moderate tropical storm, bringing with it heavy rainfall and flooding. The storm traversed Madagascar and entered the Mozambique Channel in the early hours of the 21st of January. After moving southwestward across the Mozambique Channel for an additional 2 days, Eloise strengthened into a Category 1 equivalent cyclone due to low wind shear and high sea surface temperatures. Early on the 23rd of January, Eloise peaked as a Category 2 equivalent tropical cyclone on the Saffir-Simpson scale as the center of the storm began to move ashore on Mozambique. Shortly afterward, Eloise made landfall just north of Beira, Mozambique, before rapidly weakening. Subsequently, Eloise weakened into a remnant low over land on the 25th of January, dissipating soon afterward. Preparations for the advancing storm took place in Madagascar before Eloise's landfall and in multiple other African countries. For Madagascar, widespread warnings and alerts were issued as the storm approached northern Madagascar. For Mozambique, high alerts were put in place for central portions of the country. Humanitarian responders prepared for response after the storm's passing. Beira's port also closed for about 40 hours, and limited supplies of emergency non-food items were given. Many families were sheltered in tents at accommodation centers and received kits for food, hygiene, and COVID-19 protection. Officials in Zimbabwe warned of ravine and flash flooding, which may cause infrastructure damage. Several northern provinces of South Africa were expected to experience heavy rains, which prompted severe risk warnings for them. Disaster management teams were placed on high alert ahead of the storm. Extreme flooding occurred throughout central Mozambique, with many areas being flooded due to continuous heavy rains weeks prior to Eloise's landfall. More than 100,000 people have been displaced and dams are at a tipping point. Infrastructure has taken a heavy hit. Approximately 100,000 people were evacuated by the 23rd of January. Although the number is expected to grow to 400,000, flooding and damage have been less than feared. Weak shelters set up for the cyclone were either damaged or destroyed. Beira was completely flooded, and the impacts were comparable to those of Cyclone Idai, though they were far less severe. Farmland was damaged as well. Teams were sent out to assess the damage and repair it. There have been 27 confirmed deaths, with 1 in Madagascar, 11 in Mozambique, 3 in Zimbabwe, 10 in South Africa, and 2 in Eswatini. 11 additional people are currently missing. Current damage from the storm is estimated to exceed $10 million in southern Africa. On the 14th of January, a zone of disturbed weather formed over the central South Indian Ocean to the east of another system and gradually organized while moving westward. On the 16th of January, the system organized into a tropical depression, with the presence of persisting deep convection. The system eventually strengthened into moderate tropical storm Eloise on the 17th of January. Initially, Eloise struggled to strengthen further from the presence of strong easterly shear and dry air, which caused Eloise's thunderstorm activity to be displaced to the west despite the presence of this shear and mud-level dry air. Eloise continued to intensify, with convection wrapping into an eye feature and outflow becoming increasingly defined, marking the intensification of Eloise into a severe tropical storm on the 19th of January. While heading westward towards Madagascar, this intensification trend did not last for a long time. as Eloise made a small turn to the north and then made landfall in Antalya, Madagascar, whilst weakening back to a moderate tropical storm due to land interaction with the mountains of Madagascar. The next day, Eloise weakened to a tropical depression due to land interaction, with deep convection over its center eroded, though it maintained flaring convection over the northern semicircle. On the 20th of January, Eloise emerged into the Mozambique Channel, where Eloise began to slowly re-intensify, with warm waters, a moist environment, little shear, but weak upper-level divergence contributing to the storm's slow strengthening.